Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 178 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Roy joined alongside Nathan Dirk as per usual. Spring has really sprung, in Vancouver, as you can tell. My allergies are starting to kick in. Cherry blossoms are, blooming outside, and the weather's nice. It's not really raining. It's sunny.
We had
And
an
if you're
open roof at BC Place.
and if you're a Vancouver football fan, it feels like things are blooming right now.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good, I'm not even going to say a pretty good week. It's been a pretty good year so far.
So far.
We have, the Whitecaps flying, Brian White with a 4-goal night. We'll talk about that. And then we'll also get into, finally, after what feels like 3 years of waiting when Project 8 was first announced, the Vancouver Rise with their very first game ever to kick off the NSL.
Yeah, so let's start with the Whitecaps over the weekend. 5-1 dismantling, demolition of Austin FC at BC Place. And heading into the match, Austin only gave up 3 goals and were the best defensive team in MLS. Whitecaps put up 5, Brian White scoring 4 of them.
Austin, to give you, they were one of the best, if not the best, defensive team in MLS heading into that match. They only had 3 goals against in 7 matches. I think they had the second lowest XGA as well.
Yeah.
The one strike against Austin is they weren't scoring any either. They only had 5 goals for. So a lot of their matches, every single one of their matches was decided by 1 goal.
Well, except this one.
Or it was a draw. This one, you take any stat about Austin, this game blew them all out of the water.
Yeah, and then it was just a night to remember for Brian White, a night that, not really a night, it was a day, rather, but Brian White put up one of the best individual performances in Vancouver Whitecaps history, if not the best. The first 4-goal game of the MLS era.
Yep.
There was a 4-goal game in 2005 when the Whitecaps were in the USL. I forgot the guy who did it, but It's been that long.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's one of those nights where everything you touch just seems to work, right? And we have to also remember that the reason why Brian White was able to do the work that he did was because of everyone else around him. Think of the ball that he received from Sabi, the ball that he received from Ali Ahmed when he came on. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these are because of that team ethic and the number of players that have been together, the core of this team, for 3 years.
Yeah, and you mentioned Sabi, and he's only been here for a few months, but he feels like it fits longer? In.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I asked Brian White, what's it like playing with him after the game? He's like, yeah, just a all-around great guy, great player to be around, pretty much what he said.
He's one of those players, though, that also has, for his young years, he's got a lot of experience internationally. American player, experience in Europe, comes back over to play with the Whitecaps. So he has been able to fit himself within different systems throughout his young career so far. And he also picked up a goal himself, his second goal in as many games.
Yeah, and when he signed, we were all like, okay, sure. I mean, this guy played in Ligue 1, worst team there, but he could potentially pop off in MLS. So far, he has. And
he's been very, very refreshing. I think a lot of people were higher on Sabi than they were on Nelson before a ball had been kicked. And I think we can be very, very happy with both of those players.
Yeah, and just sure, White got 4 goals, but it was an all-around team effort. And Sabi's goal, off the corner kick, the flick on, and then he was just in the right place and the right time. It should also mention that Daniel Rios played as a right winger, which was interesting, but it worked.
You know what? We say he played as a right winger. He was almost like a right winger / secondary number 9, because by playing on the right, and how much overlap you're going to get from Ocampo, it allowed Rios to cheat inside. So he's not really coming out from wide positions where you would see, say, Ryan Gauld coming in or a Nelson that are coming in from the left. With Rios on the right, it allows him to cheat in. So he's spending the most of his time inside that 18-yard box when we're in the attacking third. It allows him to kind of balance the best of both worlds. Still play to what suits his strengths, but, take those positions out wide when it's required. And he actually got himself a pretty unique assist as well.
Yeah,
the backfield that I gotta say,
that was
it looked deliberate. It looked like
he
actually meant it. When he hit the ball, he was looking behind him towards Brian White, and I don't know. I mean, I guess
sure it was
he's
deliberate.
the only one who knows whether or not it was on purpose or not. But I'm going with it was on purpose.
I'm sure he meant to do it, and like you said, like with Ocampo being the overlap, and who also had a very good, game.
Yep.
Rios has more freedom to cut inside and be like a secondary number 9. But yeah, that was a beautiful back heel from Rios to White, and then the second goal, Brian White. I mean, Stuver had a great game, made some excellent saves, but this was just a total blunder. Good on Ralph Priso also for reading it.
Yeah, it was a poor clearance, and it was a smart play by Ralph Priso to stop it in his tracks and to turn around for that quick transition, moving it up to Savvy.
Yeah, and then White obviously buries for the second goal of the game.
Yeah, I don't think you can hold Stuver too much. He wasn't given a lot of support. Let's put it that way. And he still made. I mean, there was 11 shots on target, 27 shots in total for the Whitecaps. That's an absolutely insane number. That's a hockey number.
Yeah, like it could have been like 20-0 if not for Stuver.
In the second half, there was 2 posts that the Whitecaps had and a missed penalty. I mean, easily it could have been 8-9.
Yeah. I mean, White also scored, but Bovalina was offside as well.
There was that too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and White's hat-trick goal was just a thing of chaos. Ball comes into the box, takes down the cross from Sabby. Rios tries to take a shot, but he misfires, but White.
And then Veselinovic actually rings it off the post.
Yeah.
Rebound comes to White, and he banks the ball. I feel bad for that poor center back, but the ball smacked him right in the face and into the net.
Yeah, Scott Sterling style, and that pretty much summed up.
Scott Sterling.
The Whitecaps official social media account referenced that as well.
That's funny. I didn't realize that.
That just summed up Austin's game.
You know what it was? Before this game, you were still having pundits and whatnot throughout MLS that are saying, you know what, they're doing really good, but I'm not quite sold. Demolishing a stingy defensive team like Austin, I think, has turned a lot of heads. We're also at the quarter season mark, which is bizarre. Like it feels like time has just flown by, especially when you think of how many games they played in the 2 different competitions they're in. But at the quarter season mark, this is where you're now going to start to see, the teams peeling away. You're going to start to see distance being made in the table. And there is now a belief that this is not a lucky Whitecaps team. This isn't a Whitecaps team that they're only where they are because of the opposition they faced and, they're getting lucky with their opponents. This is a team that's performing. And they're performing underneath their own hardships, their own level of injuries, their crazy schedule, and they're getting the job done.
Yeah, and
this is a legitimate team.
Top of the league in not just points, goal differential, goals for, goals against, expected goals against, expected goal differutential, all the stats. Vancouver is like number 1 in pretty much.
Takioka is tied, I believe, with Stuver for shutouts.
Yeah, and White is
clean sheets. What am I saying?
I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
White is tied with Philadelphia's Ty Barabo for most goals in the league with 6.
Yep.
Just
the other thing you're starting to see is now in the Western Conference, the Whitecaps have opened a 4-point gap between them and second placed Minnesota. Minnesota, who the Whitecaps are going to be facing here in Minnesota on the 27th. So there is an opportunity for that gap to increase. They are only 1 point ahead of Columbus for the Supporter Shield, but heading into these weeks, they were still tied with Eastern teams. That's no longer the case.
Yeah, and this graph from Andrew Wiebe and John Mueller, data from American Soccer Analysis, shows like the difference between last season and this season in terms of attack, goals scored, and defense, goals against. Vancouver's off the charts.
Yeah,
They're right here.
they're now an outlier, right?
Yeah, they're like you might be wondering, oh, where's the Whitecaps? Up here, gotta look up.
Yep.
Like this is insane. Some
It's a
pretty
brand new
notable.
system. You have a brand new coach. You have players that have bought into a system. You have a coach that has come in with experience and winning experience.
Yeah,
I think that's
and
one big thing too. I think the Whitecaps, there was a lot to like about the Whitecaps last season, the season before, things like that. They were a solid team. They were a middling team. They were a team that could make the playoffs. You know, they do good in Canada with Canadian Championship, but nobody ever really thought about them as much else. And so they weren't really taken seriously. You now have a guy that's come in that takes this very seriously.
yeah, and
That isn't looking at the Whitecaps as, you know, the little brother of Cascadia or the other Canadian teams or of anything. He's looking at this team as, you know, this is the team that's going to perform, and here's how we're going to do it. He's come in with a very, very definite idea and mentality of what he wants.
yeah, and he brought a team identity, a certain solid style of football that he wanted to play. And as I said earlier, the 3 weeks in Marbella really helped, implement his system to the players. And Sorensen has done a great job of what he has. And remember, when he arrived here, he said he didn't want to change much. He just wanted to evolve the team.
And it is an evolution. It's still a high pressing game. A back four, that's a bit of a shift. But I would say one of the biggest changes is it's a little bit more fluid in terms of structure. And that has to do when the Whitecaps lose the ball. And one of the terms that we've heard time and time again from Sorensen and his coaching staff is repress.
Yeah,
right?
get the ball back.
It kind of seems to be that buzzword going around soccer these days. But Sorensen lives and breathes it in that if you lose the ball, you're now counting the milliseconds until you get it back, right? It's not that, we need to set up a defensive shape and, get ready for, a quick transition. It's no, we lose the ball, we get it back. We're not waiting for the other team to set up anything. It's get it back now.
Yeah, it's not also get the ball and be smart with it, not just go all chaotic and frantic as quickly as possible. It's be smart with it, be patient, and wait for the right moment to strike. And it's not like, back pass, let's pass it forward.
It's a possession-based team, and sometimes that can be very boring because it looks like they're just playing a game of keep away, but not actually building anything. With the Whitecaps, you feel that there's a number of different ways that they could attack at any given time. And you look at all three channels, right? Whether it's on the wings or through the middle. Last game is a great example of that. We saw goals come from, I think, all three of those.
Yeah, we did. And hasn't been boring at all because, as I said, they're progressing with the ball and moving it forward, not just passing it backwards and sideways. And the Whitecaps are I think it's over 40 with most balls in the 18-yard box.
Yeah, that's another thing that they're doing very well. They're leading on corners. Yep. They've had the most corners of anyone in the league. Sabi was a beneficiary of that last game, getting his goal off corner. Whether it's first or second phase, it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's just surreal also seeing Whitecaps top of the Supporter Shield standings. It sounds like it's out of FIFA or a Football Manager.
Yeah. Anytime that you get a little bit of player control, this feels a little bit make believe, right?
Yeah. And no, you're not playing a game on the PC or the Xbox or PlayStation, whatever. This is real.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vancouver Whitecaps, as I wrote, I should pay attention to this team because this is a fun team. One of the best in MLS so far. And sure, there's still a lot of season left, but this team is legit. This team is a wagon so far, and it's not because of luck. I don't know if there's a football equivalent of the hockey PDO but it's none of that.
Yeah. Up next is going to be an interesting test in St. Louis. St. Louis is weird, a strange team. They came out of the gate, first 4 games, 2 wins, 2 draws, looking okay.
Did not concede a goal also.
They've lost the next 4 games.
Yeah, and St. Louis is 12th.
Yeah,
in the Western Conference with 2-2-4.
So, this is a team that is desperate to turn around their kind of early season slump because they are very, very much in a slump right now. We know that this is a team that's still looking for, outside support. They're not finished shopping around, even though the MLS trade window here is coming up very, very quickly.
Yeah,
but this is a team suffering again. Another team. Kind of like Austin in that they're not bad defensively, but they're not scoring goals either.
Yeah, actually, as I mentioned, they first 4 games they did not give up a goal.
Yeah,
because they were so good defensively, but they can't score.
I don't know what the shift was. I don't know what happened from that Seattle game to the 4 games after that. But there has been something that's broke. A little bit, and the wheels have come off a little bit.
Yeah,
because 4 games off that. That's not good for any. That's over a month. That's over a month of not finding a way to do it when everything before that seemed not bad.
Yeah, and they also have a first-year head coach from Scandinavia, no less. Olaf Melberg, who took over for Bradley Carnell in the offseason. And St. Louis lost their last game at home to Columbus Crew, 2-1.
Right.
Yeah, before that, it was the 2-0 loss to the rivals SKC, a 1-0 loss to Austin, and a 1-0 loss to Philadelphia.
The one thing I will say about St. Louis right now is they've got a laundry list of injuries. They got 8 players out right now.
I think that might be
including Robin Berkey.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help anyone right now. Yeah.
I would assume that is a huge part in their
Berkey, Edward Lowen.
Yeah, Lowen is one of their best players.
Yeah.
Though they need Joao Klaus to step up also. Really
now Lowen, I think I'm trying to remember because in their last match, I think they played. It was due to a red card. So
no, it wasn't actually. It was probably the match before that.
Yeah, Edward Lowen, he got a red card in the last match.
Yeah. Oh, Klaus did score against Columbus, but
they
just couldn't find the back of the net.
Or not the last match. Sorry, the one that they just
it was the one before.
So he should be back, I would think.
Yeah, and for the Whitecaps, Brian White has been known for scoring in bunches against St. Louis. He had a hat trick last year when they came to town, and I believe he had a brace against them when they went to St. Louis. So this game will be in St. Louis, and they will also be facing former Whitecaps striker Simon Betcher.
Very true, yeah.
Who I think, did they sign him permanently, or was he still on loan?
I think it was on option. I don't know if it has been done permanently. Betcher.
Yeah, he's still on loan.
Yeah, he is still with St. Louis, but he is on loan from AC. Was it AC Horsens out of the Danish First Division?
Yep, has 1 goal in 8 matches. So, Saturday the Whitecaps will hopefully continue their fine form. Again, another tough test, another stingy defensive team, and it's away from BC Place, where the Whitecaps have not lost yet in MLS play, so they can hope to keep the perfect road record.
Absolutely
intact. So last night, before that, quick thing. There's been rumblings about Pedro Vite to AS Roma, which is just another key in the cog, another list of teams.
What was it? Last month it was Panathinaikos out of the Greek league. Now it's AS Roma. So, I mean, hey, at least he's elevating to higher level leagues of in the rumor mill.
Yeah, but AFTN reporting that there's nothing to this so far.
This one actually did come by way of numerous reports. Initially, I think it was an initial report that came out of South America. This is going to happen with Pedro Vite. His contract is due at the end of the year. The rumor mill on this player is going to be churning and churning until either one, he signs a new contract with the Whitecaps, or two,
he leaves.
He's dealt away.
Yeah. So you don't want to lose this guy for free.
Don't expect anything different. This is also, I think, a credit to how well he has been doing this year.
Yeah. Had a fine game against Austin, too.
Absolutely. All right.
Last night.
Inaugural game, Vancouver Rise.
So we got to witness history last night at BC Place. First ever Northern Super League game. Vancouver Rise against the Calgary Wild. Great atmosphere at BC Place. Like 14,000, which they said they were aiming for 12,000, and 14,000 is a great number. And it's only a 1-0 game, and the only goal of the game was a penalty, the first goal in NSL history from Canadian international Quinn.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because you and I were joking before the match, just saying, you know what, let's have a great game, but please don't let the first goal be an own goal or a penalty. You know what? Thinking about it, someone else, I can't remember, I think it was Felipe Vallejo, friend of the show, who said, the one thing with a penalty is you get to choose who makes history. So maybe that's a good thing.
And it was fitting that the first goal in NSL history was a Canadian international, a prominent Canadian international, and arguably the biggest name in the league.
Right now, yes. Talking with Quinn after the match, they mentioned, not a goal scorer, definitely not known for that, but felt confident in taking it and stepped up, and very calm and collected game. I would say in this, we have started to see some similarities with Anna. Oh my gosh!
I can't pronounce.
Moeller, the last part. I'm forgetting the first part now. You know what? I've got my team sheet still here. Let me just grab it.
Yeah.
Heiner Moeller. Thank you.
Yeah. And hey, she and Sorensen are both Danish, so.
And that's just it. Is we're starting to see a few parallels. And we were asking her afterwards, is there any competition between Danish coaches going on in Vancouver, or is it just that we're benefiting from our friends in Denmark? She was joking about that a little bit, saying, there is a little bit of a competition, so she's hoping to come out ahead. But high press, definitely a hallmark of her team. Lydia Bedford, who was the coach for Calgary, said that was something they actually had trouble with in the first half, and making a few adjustments into the second definitely helped them in whatnot. Because the one thing with this game is you have no history to try and understand your opponent. All you had was preseason matches and any sort of tape, or whether or not you played them or not in preseason, to try and figure out who it is you're up against. This was a very strange chess match in that regard, because there are a lot of unknowns. I think what we saw is we saw a very strong Rise team. Even Bedford mentioned this is likely going to be the strongest midfield you see in the league, between Quinn and Stanton. Longhurst as well, who was also a part of that. But the one thing I noticed was the pairings that you're starting to see in the Rise. Stanton and Quinn definitely stood out in that midfield, and were able to kind of just boss the ball around in there. The defensive pairing in center backs between Shannon Wooler and Coert, very strong, very, very calm. Along with McCaslin and net, they held the Wild with
one shot on target.
Shots on target until the 82nd, 83rd minute. And it was the only
shot that was just
they had.
That was a long distance shot with McCaslin just
exactly. You're starting to see an interesting pairing on the left between Spencer at left back and Ward, best player in the pitch.
Yeah, and there's a reason why she got a national team call up, because the speed she brought, she won the penalty with that insane run from pretty much
through the penalty, hit a post, was dangerous with the number of crosses she was putting in the box. There was a lot of times where she was getting so far forward, and she's looking to put balls into the box, but there was
no one there.
So again, it's still learning. Everyone's trying to get up to speed, but getting your first competitive match under your belt felt good. It felt good. I'm assuming for the players, it felt really good to watch.
Yeah, and it was a physical one. There was a lot of, especially in the second half, a lot of bone crunching tackles, some yellow cards. And I believe that's just a glimpse. Last night was just a glimpse of what this league can be. Some exciting,
physical, the heaviness of play. I actually enjoyed it. There was a few tackles where it's like it's a strong challenge, but in my mind, it was fair on both sides. Lydia Bedford mirrored that. She said that she called it good English football.
Yeah, good English football.
Yeah.
And also last night showed that Vancouver Rise could have one of the best attacks in the NSL. I'm sure it's only one game and there's still a lot to work on. And for the league in general, this is a glimpse of what it can be, an exciting, fast-paced, physical league. And it's been a long time coming, and the country needed a professional women's soccer league. And last night was a surreal to be part of, witnessing the first game.
Yeah. Now, so this is the game one. Game two, if you're interested, you're gonna have to wait a little bit. It's in 11 days, and that will be at the Rise's home stadium, which is going to be Swangard.
Yep.
Early game, 9 a.m. kickoff.
12.
According to their website, 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's no way.
I was going to say 12 is what was told to me, but on their website right now for the Rise and for the NSL, they're saying 9 a.m., which I was like, I don't know if I've had to play or go to a game unless it's like way, way, way on the East Coast. This one ain't.
Yeah, this one's at Swangard, not on the East Coast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just great for women's football, great for the game, great for everyone who loves the sport in this country last night. And hopefully we get to see more exciting football from the Vancouver Rise and the rest of the Northern Super League. Because,
absolutely.
Yeah, it still hasn't really sunk in that it's real.
I think at some point you're going to have to get partway through the season, and then it's going to start to just feel like business as usual. You get on with your job and you get on with, playing the game. Right now, there's so much other pomp and circumstance that is around it, and legitimately so. But at some point, and I don't know if anyone will ever really feel or be able to pinpoint what that transition is. At some point, it's going to be like, okay, you know what? Now we just get it done.
Yeah, I mean, that was
and that's going to be the good feeling, because now it feels like, okay, this is here to stay.
Yeah, both coaches last night talked about managing the emotions and how surreal it was, and how it was tough to, have that. This is just business.
Diana Matheson in the Matchday -1 press conference, someone asked her about how she's feeling, and she kind of joked a little bit, saying, "I've been asked that question quite a lot lately." She's like, I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, and be interesting to see what the turnout would be at Swangard for the Rise when they play Montreal Roses on the 27th.
You know what? It's going to be interesting, especially because that is a significantly smaller venue. 5,000 people max. So, I mean, 14,000 for a midweek. I get it. It's the inaugural match. But how many of those people come back and head out to Burnaby?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not. It's like
it's not too bad for you. It's not bad. It's not a bad hike for me. There's a SkyTrain not too far away from there.
Yeah, and it's actually Swangard's close to the SkyTrain anyway.
Yeah.
So,
not only that, but it's the historical home. Whitecaps 2 play there. TSS Rovers. I mean, it's a busy venue. So having the Rise there, that should be a big draw.
Yeah, and well done to the Rise for making history, for being currently the only undefeated team in the league, and Quinn for being the league's all-time goal scorer. But
you're already setting the stats, right?
yeah, and just this is just the first of many, and it was only day one of hopefully this league lasts many, 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 many years.
Absolutely.
So, moving on, some sad MLS news. Very sad and very shocking MLS news. Former FC Cincinnati player Aaron Bupenza has unfortunately passed away at the age of 28 after falling from an 11th floor balcony in China.
Yeah. Not a lot is known about this. This just happened yesterday. He had played for FC Cincinnati for quite a while, had spent a lot of time in the Turkish Super League. I think at one point he was one of the top goal scorers in that league as well. And 28 years old. He was most recently playing, I believe, in
China. With Zhejiang FC.
Thank you. Former Bordeaux product.
Yep.
So yeah, unfortunate and
tragic. Yeah, he did play for Cincinnati 2023, 2024. He was a DP.
Yeah, over 24 games, I think he had 7 goals.
Yeah, and his contract was terminated early last August.
Yeah.
And he went to Romania to play for Rapid
Bucharesti.
Yeah, and then just signed with China just a few months ago.
Right.
Yeah, and very unfortunate, very sad that he leaves the world at the age of 28. So rest in peace to Aaron Bupenza. On a lighter note, Canada men's national team, the Gold Cup opponents have been announced, and Canada should win this group. Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao, and the first game, which will be against Honduras, will be at BC Place on June 17th.
Yeah, so with the Gold Cup, I mean, the one thing that really sucks about the Gold Cup is that it's always hosted in the United States, just for a matter of venues. There was promise that at least one match was going to be for Canada in Canada. This will be that. I don't know if there are going to be, any others. I believe this was kind of just the one. I think
this is just the last one. Yeah.
But I would say of any opponent out of this group, would you want to face at home is Honduras. That is going to be the most difficult test out of this group. Still, where the men's national team is today, nowhere near the men's national team that had what was an 8-1
in
demolition way back, right?
Yeah.
Different team. Curacao, obviously, small island. And El Salvador, teams that should be easily dealt with by the men's national team. And they should be looking to advance and on to quarterfinals after that.
Yeah, and Jesse Marsch won't be on the sideline for the game against Honduras because he's serving a suspension for getting the red card against the USA in the...
legitimate suspension, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it was legitimate in the Nations League.
Yep.
So, yeah, Canada should win this group. There's no reason why they can't. Sure, it's a weaker roster with mainly MLS players, but still, no excuse not to win.
And that's the show. We don't need to talk about Europe.
Yeah, it's been a tough ride for both of us last few months in Europe. But let's just breeze through it.
All right.
So Chelsea can't even beat Ipswich Town. And they haven't beat Ipswich Town this season. Ipswich Town obviously going down. And they had to come back from 2-0 deficit in the first half. So I guess. I don't know. 2-2 draw. Another squandered opportunity to make up some ground in the top 5 race. And I'm scared because Newcastle beat Crystal Palace like 5-2 or something and puts Chelsea in 6th. And, of course, Chelsea were good for 18 minutes, and then they concede the first goal. Bad defending from Tosin and Colwell. And Asensio just beats Robert Sanchez. It was left wide open. And they just capitulate after conceding. I don't know what it is. Just poor mentality. They just capitulate after conceding. 31st minute, Cucurella loses Johnson, and it's 2-0. And, of course, they were rightfully booed off the pitch once the halftime whistle blew. Second half, better, I guess. I mean, Nani Medwaki puts in the ball for Cucurella, but it goes off Chimpanze for the own goal. But Jadon Sancho saved the point coming off the bench with that belter. I can't even be happy about that because it's just poor all around. I mean, there were chances to win it. Neto was stopped by Palmer, the Ipswich goalkeeper. Cole Palmer had a few chances. Guy still hasn't scored since January, by the way.
Bizarre.
And Nicholas Jackson hit the post early in the game. Just very toothless attack. Switch off the defending. I mean, you can't beat Ipswich Town. I don't know if you deserve Champions League next year. Just another.
It's a pretty bad indictment of the struggles Chelsea is going with, especially with the first strings they have. There's no excuse.
Yeah, and look what happened. Look what Clear Lake has done, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's no real leader on this team other than Tossin and Reece James, I guess.
Reece James, yeah.
Who they're still managing his minutes because, fitness.
Yeah.
And I also never want, Gusto probably should be loaned out next season because he just has had a poor season. And he should never play on the left again because that guy's left foot it's just not working. And everyone was pretty much poor except for maybe Caicedo and Medwaki. So right now, Chelsea are playing Legia Warsaw in the Conference League at Stamford Bridge, up 3-0 on aggregate. And it's been reported that only 31,000 in attendance today. Lowest in years.
Where is this game?
Stamford Bridge.
Okay. I was going to say, if it was in Legia Warsaw, that would be a sellout. That stadium is nuts.
It was last week.
If you ever see anything about a collection of tifos or rabid fans and ultras or whatnot, Legia Warsaw is always number one.
Yeah, and we saw that last week in the first leg. And it should be getting underway the second leg, right now. And only 31,000 at Stamford Bridge. Sure, it's a midweek, but even midweek games in Europe sell out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is not good.
Look what you done, Igbali. Look what you done, Bowley. So, Clear Lake continues to run Chelsea into the ground. Fulham away this weekend. And guess who's refereeing that game? My favorite bald referee, Anthony Taylor. So it just gets better. So, the season of pain continues for Chelsea.
This is why you can't have nice things.
Yeah, we can't have nice things. And the September to December run just feels like a mirage.
Yeah.
So Tottenham, it's just as bad, if not worse.
So they're getting ready to kick off the second leg of the quarterfinal of Europa League, Eintracht Frankfurt. Last week, they played to a 1-1 draw at Tottenham Hotspur Way. It's a game they should have won.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Easily. But they didn't.
Second half, I mean, they banged off the post numerous times. They just couldn't get anything back, and Frankfurt did well to hold on in difficult conditions. Heading to Germany today. Kickoff is technically, but I think a minute ago, as of broadcasting this episode. We'll have to wait and see, because I will say it right now. If Tottenham lose this match, I genuinely don't know if Postecoglou has a job tomorrow.
I have to agree with that, because that man looks like a dead man walking. He knows he's going to be out the door soon.
I say this also because of what happened on the weekend. A 4-2 loss against Wolves.
Wolves, yeah.
I'm not even going to talk about it, but what I will say is why I say this is because Wolves were below Tottenham in Premier League standings. Because of that loss, Tottenham's sitting in 15th right now on 37 points. Wolves and West Ham are tied for 16th at 35 points. Only 2 points behind Tottenham, which means that they could very easily, pip them and move above, which could theoretically leave Tottenham finishing this season as the team just above the drop zone.
Yeah, which would be the lowest.
Just above. No one below them.
17th.
Only 2 points off that, which that
would be the lowest in 30, 40 years?
Yeah. This would be going back to, I think, well, even in the 2000s, Martin Yule, I think they were in the drop zone, and that's when they brought in Harry Redknapp back to get them out of it. But yeah, this is the worst I've ever had. And don't get me wrong, Postecoglou has had a horrible hand dealt to him. The number of injuries that have happened this year, everyone remembers the graphic where they were showing a starting 11 that looked really, really strong until you realize it was a starting 11 of all the players that were injured.
Yeah,
right? The number of kids that they've had to use compared to other teams dwarfs the next 5 teams in the Premier League combined. They've had it hard, but as a manager, you have to understand how to deal with adversity, and Postecoglou just hasn't do it. Yep. When you start openly talking about whether or not you have a job, chances are you don't. That's what happened with Mauricio Pochettino. He started questioning about whether or not he was going to be at Spurs, and sure, lo and behold, he wasn't. Here's another stat to put it this way: Postecoglou in the Premier League has lost 17 matches this season. Pochettino lost 17 matches in the Premier League with Spurs over his entire run with Spurs.
That's crazy.
So there you go. All the eggs are being put in the Europa League basket right now. Even if he wins tonight, he is not safe. He would have to go into the semis, which would be after this, and possibly a final.
Yeah.
He has to win the Europa League to have a shot. Otherwise, very, very soon, we're going to hear interim manager Ryan Mason. And how many times have we heard that over the past 3 years?
Yeah.
Right?
A lot.
At some point, you just wonder, should we just give the job to Mason?
That's what I've been reading. Yeah.
I mean, he'll never – he's not the guy for it, but he is a great coach, ambassador, former player, caretaker.
Good interim manager. So
a good interim, right?
Misery in Europe for both of us. But if you're an Arsenal fan, much to our chagrin, you're loving life.
Twist the knife.
Yeah, this just makes things even worse for both of us. And Real Madrid are out of the Champions League, and no remontada, whatever it's called. As Arsenal beat Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate, 2-1 yesterday in the second leg. Bukayo Saka missed a penalty, which is a really terrible penalty, a Panenka on Thibaut Courtois. But he made up for it in the second half with his goal. Vinicius Jr. did get them back into it. I mean, that's generous, but Martinelli sealed the deal. Arsenal were very good defensively, and they looked dangerous on the counterattacks. I mean, this is Arteta ball at its finest. And in the first leg, Declan Rice's 2 free kicks were huge. And Arsenal are in the semifinals of the Champions League.
Yeah.
And they...
you know what? 2 teams that obviously Arsenal I don't like for obvious reasons, being a Spurs fan. Real Madrid, again, a team that I cannot get behind. But my big question over the outcome of this isn't a rebuild for Real Madrid. They've got money to throw at it. They'll figure it. But is it the end for Ancelotti at Real Madrid?
Wondering too. And he was asked about, could this be the end for you? And he said, I don't know.
Not that I think he's still one of the best coaches ever.
Yeah, but
I just wonder if his time is just time to move on.
Yeah, it feels like Real Madrid need a fresh start in the dugout.
My problem with Real Madrid is you get all these superstar players that believe
they're bigger
the team
than
is theirs and not the team. And now you have to get a guy in there that can manage all these egos. I don't know who that is.
Really don't.
At this stage, I can't think of
anyone
a manager in global football that can. Jose Mourinho is a good guy for managing egos
because he has the biggest ego. But
yeah, exactly. But that'll never be. He's just not that guy anymore, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who you get.
Yeah.
Klopp.
There's rumors that Klopp.
Apparently all the grass is not green with the whole Red Bull situation. So
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like Real Madrid. There are times they just lack an identity, and it's when it happens when you get all the egos at once trying to do their own thing. They just
Yeah.
lack cohesion, as I've always said. And they
Well, I
did
mean,
that in the
Kylian
first two legs
Mbappe is
against
still
Arsenal.
coming underneath criticism for seemingly just like he just doesn't feel like he cares.
Yeah, and full credit to Arsenal
Yep.
in the Champions League, but in the other quarterfinal, Bayern Munich will not be playing the final in their home stadium because Inter Milan knocked them out, and that's one less trophy for Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Poor fellow.
Good on Inter Milan. I mean, I didn't expect them to get this far, but
4-3 on aggregate, 2-2
yeah,
in the second leg. That's
just a
10-0.
tenacious team.
Yeah, and people shouldn't sleep on this team because they're all top of Serie A, only by 3 points, but still. Just a very tenacious team, like you said. And the UEFA Champions League semis are set. The road to Munich continues. Arsenal against PSG. Barcelona against Inter Milan. Good matchups. And
you know what? I want Inter to win the thing. I want Inter to win the thing. I think it's going to be very, very difficult, but I'm putting my eggs in with Inter.
Yeah, I mean I would too. But Barcelona has just been flying offensively.
They have
with Yamal and Lewandowski, Pedri, and PSG's talent have really shown. With Doué, Barcola, and Dembele.
This is the one thing that PSG needs to win. I mean, it's pretty much you start Liga, you start etching in PSG's name into the trophy.
Yeah, before this.
This is the one they need to win. This is the one that anyone cares about right now in France, if you're a PSG fan.
Yeah, and they have to win. It'll be really funny if PSG wins the whole thing after the year after Mbappe leaves. That would be the funniest.
Actually, you know what? I kind of want PSG. You said that. I kind of want PSG to at least get to the final, right?
Anyone but Arsenal is what we're both saying.
Of course.
Anyone but Arsenal.
Anyone. Yeah.
Anyone but the Gunners.
Yeah, sign from you and me for sure, right?
Yeah. So that'll conclude this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Follow me on Twitter, JoshRay00, also on Blue Sky, Nathan and Derek. Podcast at Terminal City FC on Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Instagram. So Whitecaps back in action against St. Louis, road game. And then by this time next week, we'll be preparing for
talking about a certain
Argentinian if he'll show up to BC Place.
If he does, if he doesn't.
If he does, he doesn't. But more importantly, the Whitecaps are in the semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions League. And we'll be at that game as well. I got to bring earplugs next week because since the game is pretty much sold out, I'm sure it's going to be loud regardless. And follow all our articles for Area 51 Sports Network as well. So that concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.